The number 6 ground conductor for the telecom system ground must be run in a separate conduit from the wiring for an electrical outlet device. This requirement stems from the need to maintain the integrity of the grounding system and prevent unwanted interactions between the telecommunications and electrical power systems. Sharing a conduit can introduce several potential problems. Firstly, electromagnetic interference, also known as EMI, can occur. Power wiring, especially when carrying significant current, can generate electromagnetic fields. These fields can induce currents in the telecommunications ground conductor, leading to noise and potentially disrupting the operation of sensitive telecommunications equipment. Secondly, ground loops can be created. A ground loop occurs when there are multiple paths to ground, creating a circulating current. This circulating current can also introduce noise and interference into the telecommunications system, degrading its performance. Thirdly, in the event of a fault in the electrical power system, such as a short circuit, a large fault current can flow through the grounding conductors. If the telecommunications ground conductor is in the same conduit, it could be subjected to this fault current. This could potentially damage the telecommunications equipment or even pose a safety hazard. Fourthly, bonding and grounding practices for telecommunication systems often differ from those for electrical power systems. Combining the grounding conductors in a single conduit could compromise the effectiveness of either system. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, provides specific guidelines for grounding and bonding telecommunications systems. These guidelines are designed to ensure the safety and reliability of both the telecommunications and electrical power systems. Specifically, NEC Section 800.100 addresses grounding and bonding requirements for communications systems. While the specific wording of the NEC may vary depending on the edition, the general principle remains the same. The telecommunications grounding system should be kept separate from the electrical power system grounding system. Furthermore, the size of the grounding conductor is also important. A number 6 AWG American wire gauge conductor is commonly specified for telecommunications grounding. This size is chosen to provide adequate capacity to carry fault currents and to ensure a low impedance ground path. The lower the impedance, the more effectively the grounding system can protect equipment from voltage surges and other electrical disturbances. Installation practices also play a critical role in ensuring the effectiveness of the grounding system. The grounding conductor should be run in a direct and unobstructed path to the grounding electrode. Avoid sharp bends or unnecessary loops in the conductor, as these can increase impedance. The grounding electrode itself should be properly installed and maintained. Common types of grounding electrodes include ground rods, ground plates, and metal water pipes. The choice of grounding electrode will depend on the specific site conditions and local regulations. In addition to the NEC, other industry standards and best practices may also apply to telecommunications grounding. These standards may provide more specific guidance on topics such as bonding techniques, grounding electrode selection, and surge protection. It is important to consult with qualified professionals and to follow all applicable codes and standards when designing and installing a telecommunications grounding system. Failing to properly ground a telecommunications system can have serious consequences. It can increase the risk of equipment damage, data loss, and even personal injury. A well-designed and properly installed grounding system is an essential part of any telecommunications infrastructure. It helps to protect equipment, ensure reliable operation, and provide a safe environment for personnel. This separation of the telecommunications ground conductor from the electrical power wiring in a separate conduit is therefore a critical safety measure. The purpose of grounding and bonding is to establish a low impedance path for fault current to return to the source. This low impedance path facilitates the operation of overcurrent protective devices such as circuit breakers or fuses. When a fault occurs, a large current flows through the grounding system, causing the overcurrent protective device to trip and interrupt the circuit. This prevents the fault from escalating and causing further damage or injury. In the context of telecommunications, grounding also helps to minimize noise and interference. By providing a low impedance path to ground, stray currents, and electromagnetic fields can be effectively shunted away from sensitive electronic equipment. This helps to ensure the integrity of the signal and prevent data corruption. The NEC provides detailed requirements for grounding and bonding of electrical systems. These requirements are based on years of experience and research, and they are designed to protect people and property from electrical hazards. It is important to understand and comply with these requirements when designing and installing any electrical or telecommunications system. In addition to the specific requirement for separating the telecommunications ground conductor from the electrical power wiring, there are other important considerations for grounding and bonding. Firstly, all metallic enclosures and equipment should be properly bonded together to create a continuous grounding system. This includes conduit, junction boxes, cabinets, and equipment frames. Secondly, the grounding conductor should be sized appropriately for the expected fault current. The NEC provides tables that specify the minimum size of grounding conductors based on the size of the overcurrent protective device. Thirdly, the grounding electrode system should be properly installed and maintained. The grounding electrode system is the point where the grounding system connects to the earth. It is important to ensure that the grounding electrode system has a low impedance connection to the earth. The NEC provides requirements for the type and size of grounding electrodes that can be used. The proper grounding and bonding of electrical and telecommunications systems is a complex topic. It is important to consult with qualified professionals and to follow all applicable codes and standards when designing and installing these systems. The decision to keep the number 6 ground conductor for the telecom system separate from the electrical wiring in its own conduit is not arbitrary, but rather a well-considered safety measure. Firstly, consider the potential for electromagnetic interference. Electrical wiring, especially when carrying alternating current, generates electromagnetic fields. These fields can induce currents in nearby conductors, including grounding conductors. If the telecom ground conductor is run in the same conduit as the electrical wiring, it can pick up this induced current, leading to noise and interference in the telecom system. This interference can degrade the performance of the telecom equipment, causing errors in data transmission or even complete system failure. Secondly, there is the issue of ground loops. A ground loop occurs when there are multiple paths to ground, creating a circulating current. This circulating current can also introduce noise and interference into the telecom system. If the telecom ground conductor is connected to the electrical ground at multiple points, such as through shared conduit, it can create a ground loop. Thirdly, consider the potential for fault currents. In the event of a short circuit or other electrical faults, a large current can flow through the grounding conductors. If the telecom ground conductor is in the same conduit as the electrical wiring, it could be subjected to this fault current. This could damage the telecom equipment or even create a fire hazard. Fourthly, there are differences in the grounding requirements for electrical and telecommunications systems. The NEC specifies different grounding methods and conductor sizes for these two types of systems. Combining the grounding conductors in a single conduit could violate these requirements. In addition to these safety concerns, there are also practical considerations. Running the telecom ground conductor in a separate conduit makes it easier to identify and maintain the grounding system. It also prevents the telecom ground conductor from being accidentally disconnected or damaged during electrical work. Overall, the requirement to keep the telecom ground conductor separate from the electrical wiring is a sound engineering practice that is based on safety, performance, and maintainability considerations. It helps to protect the telecom equipment from damage, reduce noise and interference, and ensure the reliable operation of the system. When installing a telecommunications system, always follow the manufacturer's instructions and consult with a qualified electrician or telecommunications technician to ensure that the grounding system is properly installed. It is also important to periodically inspect the grounding system to ensure that it is in good condition and that all connections are tight. A properly installed and maintained grounding system is an essential part of any telecommunications infrastructure. To reiterate, the requirement for separation is not merely a suggestion but a mandatory practice. This is based on established electrical codes and engineering principles. When dealing with sensitive electronic equipment, it's important to mitigate all possible sources of interference and potential hazards. By maintaining separate conduits, one reduces the risk of electromagnetic interference, ground loops, and fault current propagation, all of which can compromise the performance and safety of the telecommunications system. It's also essential to ensure that the grounding conductor is appropriately sized. The number 6 AWG ground conductor is a common choice for telecom systems. However, it's important to verify that it meets the specific requirements of the installation based on the system's voltage and current levels and the applicable codes. This helps in ensuring its ability to safely handle fault currents. Also, proper bonding is vital. All metallic components of the telecommunications system, including the conduit, enclosures, and equipment frames, should be properly bonded together to create a continuous ground path. This minimizes the potential for voltage differences and reduces the risk of electrical shock. The grounding electrode, such as a ground rod or grounding plate, should be properly installed and maintained to provide a reliable connection to the earth. Regular inspections and maintenance of the grounding system are essential to ensure its continued effectiveness. The separation of the telecom ground conductor and electrical power wiring in separate conduits is a critical safety and performance measure. It protects equipment, reduces noise, and ensures reliable system operation. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, serves as the cornerstone of electrical safety in the United States, providing comprehensive guidelines for electrical installation. This code is regularly updated to reflect the latest advancements in technology and safety practices. The NEC addresses virtually every aspect of electrical installations, from wiring methods and overcurrent protection to grounding and bonding. The primary goal of the NEC is to safeguard people and property from electrical hazards. It sets minimum safety standards for electrical installations, ensuring that they are designed and installed in a manner that minimizes the risk of fire, electric shock, and other electrical hazards. Compliance with the NEC is often mandated by state and local jurisdictions. Electrical inspectors use the NEC as a guide when inspecting electrical installations to ensure that they meet the required safety standards. The NEC is not a design manual, but rather a set of minimum safety requirements. It is the responsibility of qualified electrical professionals to design and install electrical systems that meet these requirements. The NEC covers a wide range of electrical installations, including residential, commercial, and industrial systems. It also addresses specific types of equipment and installations, such as telecommunications systems, fire alarm systems, and emergency power systems. The NEC is organized into chapters, articles, and sections. Each chapter covers a specific topic, such as wiring methods or grounding and bonding. Articles provide more detailed requirements for specific types of installations or equipment. Sections provide specific rules and regulations. The NEC is a complex and comprehensive document. It requires careful study and interpretation to ensure compliance. Qualified electrical professionals are trained to understand and apply the NEC correctly. The NEC is an essential tool for ensuring electrical safety. By following the guidelines in the NEC, electrical professionals can help to protect people and property from electrical hazards.